in the world.
What's up, friends? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. You can call me Captain Ding Dong. Welcome to 5-inch Friday. I hope you've got your Vaseline. No. I hope you've got 5-inch propellers. Yeah. We're going to talk about the difference between tuning 4.3 and 4.2 tonight. I've been in kind of sort of hell with that over the past couple of days, but I've learned a ton. There's a couple really important things that you need to know. Mainly D-min advance. D-min advance either didn't work previously or they've changed the way that it works because, good lord, it makes a huge difference. I used to put D-min advance up to a value of 50. Nowadays, if you do that, you're going to probably have a bad day. But we're going to talk more about that. And then if I get time, I've got... I can't believe it's taken me this long to do this. I was trying to do these at the beginning of the year, but it's just been absolute madness. I've got 3 build bags with analog, everything I need to build 3 analog FPV cycle glides, and then sell them. So these are going to be rigs that I sell. This came from when Joshua did that edit. When I mailed one of my glides to Joshua, and he did that edit, talking about how it's the most different rig that he's flown in a long time, and that is one of the things that drove him to start building lighter. And once that went up, I got a couple requests from folks wanting to buy my exact rig, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't have any to sell you, but I can probably spec that out and build you one. And it took me a while because it's expensive, you know, like I don't have the ability to buy anything in bulk or get any kind of discounts, so I shopped as smart as I could. Like, you know, I looked for deals and stuff like that, but, you know, for the most part, I had to pay retail for all of these. So, I mean, this is, you know, these 3 bags have almost $1,000 worth of stuff in them, right? And that's just a ton of money for me. So it took me a while, and then they kind of sat on the shelf for a while, but we're going to do it. We're going to get started, and I'm hoping to get these knocked out in April and for sale by the end of April. It's April 8th already? Jesus. My birthday is in 9 days. That's pretty wild. Shirt of the day is from BQE. It's the Ripsqueak. So I look like a bat? I feel like a bat. You know what I'm saying? You ever feel like a bat? No? We're going to do a little bit of mailbag. You guys can check out my mailbag. And I just went out and I flew all 6 of these DJI rigs that are going to be coming with me tomorrow to the bicycle race, live flying event. And most of them are pretty good. A couple of them have a little tweaks that I need to make after the stream tonight, but 4 out of 6 are pretty much locked in. The problem children are the Cineglide and both big motor rigs, actually. Both, the Cineglide has 2507s on it, and the Razorback has 2506s on it. Both of these are just not quite perfect. They're close. They're really close. You know, to be expected, to be completely honest, if you stray away from like the known quantities of like 2306, 2207, you're opening yourself up to, you know, needing to tune a little bit differently, build a little bit differently, whatever. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of getting that dialed in. I'm hoping that I can I'm hoping that Brandon's Baked Beans has a little bit of time tonight to help a brother out. Speaking of, Brandon's Baked Beans charges $1 a minute, which is a great deal. $1 a minute to help you out with tuning. He's been helping me out quite a bit. So if you've got an unruly rig, or if you just want your rig to fly better, he can help you out. You can catch up with him in Discord, or if you need me to connect you with him, just let me know. But he's in Discord all the time. This is my full-time job. If you like these live streams and would like to see them continue, I need your support. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com. Patreon helps me out the most. It's $3 whole a month. It's 10 cents a day. You can do it. It makes a huge difference. There's an Etsy store with a bunch of really fun stuff. Treat yourself. There's a Teespring store with a bunch of fun stuff. Treat yourself again. There's a Fiverr page where I can work one-on-one with you, teach you how to build better, tune better, fly better. Treat yourself. And then there's a whole bunch of affiliate links. When you're buying stuff, think about your gangly friend. If you're ever buying anything on Amazon, Get FPV, FPV Crate, FPV Cycle, God's website, and a couple of others, I do have affiliate links. I will get 1 to 6% of your entire shopping cart for free. It makes a huge difference. It's free money. Think about your gangly buddy when you're buying some FPV stuff. Maybe I've got a affiliate link to that store that you're about to order from. Okay, chat, what's up? If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV and it'll light up in orange like that. If you don't, I'll assume you're talking to each other. Mr. Huggy tagged me and said, what's up, CiottiFPV and all. Ram Donko Riot 9, Espander, Joey T, Dan Richmond, Grizz FPV. Ram Donko says, flip and burn. Hell yeah. Grizz says, what's up, collective? Got that glide goodness coming in Monday. Can't wait to try it out. Very cool. You're going to love it. Zach Lotham or Charles Marseille. Charles, is it Marseille or Marseille? Type the letter A for Marseille and the letter E, or no, the letter I for Marseille. Frank Nicholas is in the house. Joey T. Ram Jam is here. Ram Jam, I haven't seen you in a while, man. Hopefully you've been doing okay. Frank Nicholas dropping the link to CiottiFPV.com. Joey T. Richard, Northern Tier. YouTube just did the thing. Why is it still on this camera? What am I doing? Aircon, Ram Jam, PSFPV, Northern Tier, Dan636, Dan Richmond, Nickel Sticks. Dan636 says, yo, aka Captain Ding Dong. Richard says, did you see the info on the 2023 Corolla GR 300 horsepower all-wheel drive? I did. I'm very iffy on Toyota's styling lately. I don't. Both of these GRs, I'm just like, oof, on the styling side of things. But the more turbo all drive cars we've got, the better. So that's for damn sure. Nickel Sticks says, Ciotti, have you tried Nickel Sticks? Type CiottiFPV next time and it'll highlight in orange. I just happened to see my name though. Have you tried FETech G4? I'm currently building an Apex with this flight controller, 40 amp ESC from FETech 2. What's your thought? I tried KISS a couple of years ago and I was not impressed at all. T-Bird sent. It's not that I wasn't impressed. No, it is. Yeah, I wasn't impressed. It's not as good as Betaflight. T-Bird built this Apex with FETech G4 and sent it to me. And yet again, I'm not impressed. But this is like beyond not impressed. It's the rates are changing like mid-flight. Like I'll go to do a roll, and it'll do the roll at a different speed each time. Sometimes it'll go really slow, sometimes it'll go normal, sometimes it'll go somewhere in between. And then the other issue is sometimes it'll just hold on to the roll and it won't stop rolling. Like it's doing uncommanded stuff. And that's actually a problem that I had with KISS and Flight 1. I don't understand. I guess I understand. Like, not many people fly KISS or Flight 1, so there's not much of a resource base for them to fix problems with. And the general consensus is like when you have a problem with Flight 1 or KISS and you go online, you try to find the solution to it, God forbid you ask the question, because then everybody attacks you because they think you're trashing on it. So that's super annoying. But then anybody that doesn't shit on you for asking a question and daring to suggest that it's not absolutely perfect in every way, the only answers that you'll typically get are like, oh, I don't know what it is, but you should try this. Oh, I don't know what you should try this. Oh, why don't you try this? Why don't you try this? Why don't you try this? And it's just people like fucking closing their eyes and pointing. And like a lot of those suggestions make no sense at all. There doesn't really seem to be anyone that actually understands KISS or Flight 1. It's all just like just like throwing a dart in the dark. So yeah, and I mean like this whole uncommanded thing is like really scary. Like Flight 1 actually uncommanded yawed 180 degrees, put its nose down, and smashed into the fucking Mazda 2. Luckily, I was much more careful with where I was flying this. But yeah, like the whole, I don't know. Betaflight is really the way to go. Mark Spatz has shown that time and time again. You know, some of the cool kids fly KISS because, you know, it's different and being different is cool. But like if you're expecting it to be better than Betaflight, which I was, unfortunately you're going to be disappointed. Like there's not a single way that it's any better than Betaflight. Is it different than Betaflight? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's different than Betaflight. Basically what it is Betaflight 3.5.7, which nobody really flies anymore. So it's definitely different. If you can find a hex of Betaflight 3.5.7, you can just put that on and get the KISS flight experience. Or Mark Spatz, I think, has a preset that shuts off all the good stuff that we've gotten in Betaflight ever since 3.5.7, and then it flies just like KISS too. So yeah, it's a really good, I will say this, it's a really good exercise to go and to do a KISS build and to fly a KISS build, because it really makes you appreciate how good Betaflight is and how good each one of these individual things that specifically target bad flight behavior works. So it's not bad that you're doing it, Nickel Sticks. Like it's a great exercise that you're going through, but just, yeah, use it as that. Use it as your opportunity to really see the strengths of Betaflight. And yeah, it's going to be eye-opening. Like it's pretty shocking how much better the footage looks in Betaflight and how much less work you have to do as a pilot. You could actually make a pretty good argument for KISS making you a better pilot, because you don't have the much more advanced flight firmware to fix a lot of these bad flight behaviors, bounce back, prop wash, throttle chop bobbles, stuff like that. So you, as a pilot, have to work way, way, way harder to fly around those problems. And so that's a really good, like, you know, it's like swinging with a weighted bat, right? Like you're in the on deck circle, you're using this like needlessly heavy bat that is a big pain in the ass. And then you get up to the plate and you've got your normal bat and you can just fucking crank. You know, that's Betaflight. So yeah, swing with a weighted bat for a while. It'll make you a better pilot for sure. You'll get to notice all of the things that, all of the improvements that Betaflight has made over the last like 4 or so years. KISS hasn't really changed much of anything in the last 4 years. They had a tiny little update recently that had a couple of little things. If you want more info, Mark Spatz has really done a wonderful job at breaking it all down. And with, you know, just impossible to argue facts and black box logs shown the difference between the firmwares. So definitely check that out. It's super eye-opening, and enjoy your time with something different. Put in as much time as you can afford to with it, because yeah, it's definitely going to make you a better pilot. You're going to have to fly around some pretty serious flight behavior problems. And yeah, that's going to make you a better pilot. It's going to force you to learn to come off the throttle more slowly and to not slam the rig around and to, you know, come off of the roll stick much more slowly and to really pay attention to where the momentum of the quad is so that you don't hammer the throttle in a situation that's going to create prop wash. So yeah, similar to the kind of conversation that we had a month or two ago where I was saying how flying, this is back in 4.2 days. 4.3 is a little bit different with this. 4.3 is much more aggressive on the defaults, but back in 4.2 days, the defaults are a little soft. And I had this big like half an hour rant about how flying to the defaults is going to make you a better pilot, because you're going to get to see when the rig is prop washing, and then you're going to know to avoid that as a pilot. The other side of that is if you're flying to get good footage, you don't really want that. Like, you don't want to have to limit your flying just in order for the footage to not be all bobbly and shaky and look awful. So yeah, keep that in mind, right? Like if you have something coming up where, like if you're going to be at a really good location, or it's like an event or something like that, make sure that you fly Betaflight, because the footage is going to be just like infinitely better. Use KISS to be like your beater kind of, I'm just going out to fly, to learn to fly, to practice basically. It's a good practice setup, because you're going to get to see all of these bad behaviors. And it's really valuable to know when those bad behaviors occur. Like, it's great that Betaflight covers your ass and just like deletes all those bad behaviors in the flight footage, but it's, in doing so like, for example, right, when you get into, if you put the rig into a situation where it's gonna prop wash, right, Betaflight is gonna gobble up that prop wash, but in the process of doing so, it's gonna be really working each motor hard, and it's gonna burn more battery than if you were to put it into a little bit of a more favorable situation that's a little bit less prop washy, basically less of its own dirty air. So it definitely, you are a better pilot if you know how to fly around that stuff, because if there's a camera movement that you want to do that's like the worst possible thing, you can do it. But like, if there's any way to make it a little bit better, you'll kind of do that. So you can pick and choose. It's better to get good and then to be able to turn it off than to not get good, because then you can't turn it on, right? Like, if you know how to fly around the problems, you're gonna be better. And then you go to the better flight software, and then it's like amazing. Versus if you always fly the really good flight software, you're going to kind of rely on that a little bit too much, sort of. I don't know. It's hard to make that argument, though, because who cares? You do the camera moves that you want to do, the flight firmware crushes all of the bad behaviors, and your footage looks awesome every single time. I don't know. I like to think that it was a worthwhile venture to do it, because I spent a shitload of money and a shitload of time on it, but you could argue it both ways. Slide By says, hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you, dude. Scrolling back up. Den636 says, good luck with the gig tomorrow. Thank you, dude. Parker FPV's in the house. North 49 RC. Paulie Lee, Mr. Huggy, and oh god, change that name, yo. That's not cool. Ram Donko, Slide By Nickel Sticks, Richard, PSFPV, Akash, Kenny Kobe. I'm gonna Tim Shevtsov, Parker FPV. I'm gonna leave it there. If you want the gangly man to say your name, you gotta get in early. You gotta say something, or you can just tag me. Tim says, what's your favorite VTX for micro quads? Believe it or not, it's the Eachine Nano. It's $13. It's incredibly durable. And you can buy 2 of them for the price of 1. You can almost buy 3 of the damn things for the price of 1 TBS Pro 32 Nano. And I've had 2 TBS Pro 32 Nanos fail on me, and I've had 0 Eachine Nanos fail on me. I've only ever run 2 TBS Pro 32 Nanos. I've run about a dozen Eachine Nanos. So somehow, the Eachine Nano, in my experience, and many others, is quite a bit more durable than the equivalent TBS product. So yeah, save yourself some money, buy something that's almost a third of the price, and it's going to be a lot more durable for you. For whatever reason, Eachine's video components are awesome. Like, their goggles, the receivers in the goggles, and their VTXs are just really good. It's very strange. Akash says, did you change all the rigs back to 4.2? How did the BF 4.3 increase filtering fly? So I woke up yesterday morning. Let's dive into it. I woke up yesterday morning and I immediately put 2 rigs onto 4.2. Went out. One of them I flew on 4.3. I black box logged it, and then I put it onto 4.2. I went back out and I flew it again. Pulled up the logs, and it became immediately obvious to me that the filtering in 4.3 is much better. Absolutely no questions asked. towards the end of the live stream last night, I think Brandon had said that he was helping a guy tune. Brandon being Brandon's Baked Beans, who charges $1 a minute to help with tuning, and he really knows his shit. So if you guys need tuning help, look Brandon up. Yeah, he towards the end of the stream, he'd been tuning with somebody, and D-Min Advance was the problem. So I had a third rig that was still on 4.3 that was being stupid, and so I went in and I turned the D-Min Advance all the way down. Previously, I used to, in 4.2, I would run the D-Min Gain and Advance at a value of 50. The stock values are 20 and 37. I forget which one is which, but one of them adjusts how quickly the D-Gain goes from the min to the max value. The other one controls how early the D-Gain goes from the min to the max value. The D-Min Gain seems to still work the way that it used to. A value of 50 is still seemingly really good there. Nice and aggressive. I think Gain is the one that adjusts how quickly the D-Gain rises. The Advance works totally different now. And I don't have a good enough feel for how it works yet to say it. But an Advance of 50 doesn't work. It doesn't work on any of these rigs. Weirdly, it worked on the Cinewhoops, but that's really about it. None of the 5-inch freestyle rigs worked with D-Min Advance. But I put that value down to 0, and those rigs quieted right down, and they worked really way better. And if you look at the tooltips for the Advance, it says, even though the default is still 37 or 20, I forget which it is, it says in the tooltips, you don't need to go above 20, typically. The default is 0. The way that Chris... I'll say this. The way that Chris Rosser explained D-Min Advance is, at 0, it looks at the set point. Or is it the other way around? Hold on, I'm pulling up the messages. The Advance determines whether the D boosts based on set point or gyro. 100, a value of 100 all the way up is set point. A value of 0 is gyro. So a value of 50 would be half and half. It would mix it. So if you put it to 100, it's going to look at set point, and it's going to look for you to make sharp stick movements on set point. And then when it sees that sharp stick movement, it's going to push the D-Gain up to the max. At 0, it's going to look at the gyro for fast movements, which is slightly delayed from the set point. So there's going to be a little bit of a delay. I don't understand why putting it to 0 would fix these problems that I've been having, but I'll be damned if it didn't. Like, it absolutely helped putting it to 0. My hunch is that there's a relationship between the Advance and the Gain and the D-Max and the D-Min, and that relationship is for some reason getting thrown off by having it at a value above 0. But the tooltips are pretty specifically say, like, keep Advance at 0. So yeah, I'm a little... Oh, and Chris also says that RC smoothing has changed a lot, so it could also factor into RC smoothing. He says, if you're using a lot of Advance... I haven't actually read these. He sent me a couple more messages. If you're using a lot of Advance, then D will be sensitive to any steps in the set point. Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. I do have my set point pretty well filtered though. Like I use the ultra cinematic, which really does smooth it out quite a bit. Chris says, I recommend advance equals 0 and tune using the gain. You don't really want D-spiking at the start of a move. Better to wait until the quad is actually moving before cranking D-term, otherwise it'll slow the entry. Oh, you're right. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why my footage looks the way that it does. I run a lot of D-gain, and that makes the beginning and the end of the moves much softer. You can see it in my black box logs, like the set point will go rocketing up, and then the actual gyro will fade behind it a little bit. Back when I was learning one of the reasons that I learned black box way back when, and have subsequently forgot most of it. One of the reasons I learned it though is I wanted to figure out how to get the look, the softness that I wanted from the video, without having to change drastically what I did on the sticks. Basically, what I wanted to do is, instead of having the rig like just super aggressively like wail into, so let me take a step back. What I realized is that back in like 3.5.7 days, I realized that I needed a lot of P gain for enough authority in the air to handle like wind and just have the rig be like locked in the air, right? But then as I increased the P gain, it was making the rig way snappy. More snappy than I wanted. I don't want so much attack. I want it to be smoothed out a little bit. So I learned black box so that I could look at what my set point does, and then I could sit there and I could change the feed forward transition and the D gains to smooth the movement out. And basically what I was trying to do, like if my set point is what you do on the sticks. If my set point was cruising along and it went bang to the end of the stick travel and then it flattened out, I wanted the gyro curve, which is what the actual rig is doing. I wanted the gyro curve to have a nice smooth attack and a nice smooth fall off. So that was one of the ways that I tuned my feed forward and my D gains. It's why I ended up cranking my not feed forward. This is back before feed forward. Transition, yeah, which is now, we don't have transition anymore. It's been replaced by jitter. But yeah, so that's why my footage looks the way that it does. It ramps up and then it ramps down, regardless of what I do on the sticks. If I'm in like a panic situation and I bang the sticks over, like if I'm on a really good run, right? Good like 30-second bit of footage. If there's like something that jumps out at me or I see something at the last second, I bang the stick. I don't want this like explosion of roll, because that like ruins that run. I want it to be a little bit smoothed out within reason. Like I don't want enough delay that I hit the thing, but you know, we're talking about 10 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds. We're talking about not a lot of delay. And what's also interesting is that when you bang the stick over and you have a bunch of smoothing added in, the rig starts moving at the exact same time. It just doesn't like drive into the movement to try to perfectly match the set point. So the rig still reacts just as quick. So I don't really feel like, some people that fly my setups are like, yo, there's a lot of like delay in this. And I'm like, there's not. Pay attention to how quickly the rig starts to move versus the fact that it's not just gonna like snap into everything. And then they're like, oh, you're right. So when you have that panic situation, you bang the stick over, like it's just as quick, but instead of like railing into what you did on the sticks, which is to hammer the stick into the plastic usually, right? Instead of doing that, it more softly attacks it. So you get that same initial movement, and then it just kind of, yeah. So that's that's pretty cool, and that's interesting that that Chris says that. Better to wait until the quad is actually moving before cranking the D-term, otherwise it'll slow the entry. What's interesting is I actually kind of want to slow the entry. I don't want that initial hit to be so fast, so I'm probably going to start turning, I mean, this is my plan anyway, but now I'm definitely going to be trying to move the advance up a little bit. to get that extra smoothing on the front of the movement rather than just the end of the movement, because I want that to be, I want it to be even. I don't want the front of the camera move to be a big ass explosion and then the rear end of it to be super soft, because I already do that on the sticks. I jam out to the plastic and then I slowly move back down. So this is super helpful. Chris is the man. So yeah, everything is on 4.3. Everything is almost completely dialed in. These two big motor rigs are totally fine. They're totally flyable. But every once in a while they have a little like at that zero throttle, they have that little bit of grumbly angriness that I got to try to figure out. But other than that, yeah, it's good to go. Kenny Kobe, stay away from Lumineer Electronics. They're well known to be problematic, unfortunately, which is annoying because they're white and they look cool. Paulie Lee says, good luck tomorrow. Thank you, dude. Parker FPV says, where are you going to sell the quads on? Probably just here. I'll probably, when they're done, I'll probably just be like, all right, guys, they're $800 each or whatever. Message me if you want one. And the first 3 messages that I get willing to, they're going to be $800 bare minimum. I think that's pretty fair because they're going to take a lot of hours to build. There's only going to probably be 3 of them ever. I don't really enjoy building quads, so I don't necessarily plan on doing this ever again. So yeah, there's a little bit of rarity. My time is valuable, and I don't know. Hopefully there's people willing to pay that. And I'm trying to keep the lights on in here, right? Like I'm doing this because I need the money. I'm not doing it for charity, right? So I'm gonna see how much I can get for them, and then if nobody's willing to bite at 800, maybe I'll turn it down a little bit. To be honest, I'll probably just wait. But yeah, that'll be fun. T-Bird says, is that the KISS build I sent you? It is, T-Bird. Did you notice the problems? Like, did it do this like strange uncommanded bullshit with you too? Is that why you sent it? I wouldn't blame you if you did. Kenny Kobe says, why the Mr. Steel Apex over the Lumineer QVS JFPV? I think I would actually do the QAVS. The Apex is a great frame and all, but the arms are too thick and too strong. The arms being too strong is going to cause a lot of broken motors. The QAVS, the arms are much more realistically sized. They're a much more realistic strength. You want the arm to break before the motor. Motors are $25. Arms are like $3 or $4. Arms are easy to replace. Motors are a pain in the ass to replace. So yeah, if you were gonna build like a long range rig, or if you never crash for some reason, then the Apex would be better because it's got the thicker arms. It's gonna handle vibrations better. Or if you're a super black box nerd and all you care about is how clean the black box log looks, Apex for sure. But if you're a freestyle pilot and you crash, which you should be crashing, it's one of the beautiful things about this hobby. Yeah, the Apex arms are never gonna break. That's gonna put all that energy into the motors, and you're just gonna go through motors. So yeah, I would rather build the QAVS. And support Joshua, to be completely honest. That helps as well. Slide by FPV says, so you're saying I should finally upgrade from 3.5.7? It just wasn't broken, so I never fixed it. What am I missing out on? The 3 main things you're missing out on Slide by are iTerm Relax, which kills pretty much all of bounce back. D-Min and D-Max, which pretty much kills all prop wash. And anti-gravity, which kills pretty much all throttle chop bobbles. So yeah, those are the 3 big things. Some of the other improvements are, there's been big improvements in filtering. RPM filtering is a really big deal. And now the new dynamic notch filtering is also a really big deal. So on 4.3 versus 3.5.7, you're going to get less bounce back, less prop wash, less throttle chop bobbles, and you're going to be able to crank the tune up more because the filtering is better, and you're going to be able to fly home on more banged up motors and props because the filtering is better. All that being said, 3.5.7 flies pretty much exactly like KISS, and some of the best pilots in the world struggle through using KISS because they swear to God that it flies better. It doesn't. Placebo is very, very, very strong. And, you know, like, in reality, the fact that those guys fly KISS, if you then build a rig that's KISS, you're going to just naturally feel like you can now fly like those people. And that is going to make you fly better. It really is. That's how our minds work. So there is something to say for that. The problem is that it's not better and that you're going to get into prop wash situations. There are going to be camera moves that you just can't do without bounce back. So you have the potential of flying better, but your footage is not going to look better. So yeah, most pilots fly Betaflight. So look, there's plenty of amazing. They're not super, you know. I'll put it this way: there are a lot of pilots that are actually better than the big name pilots who fly KISS that fly Betaflight. You guys know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not. This is not a ding on the pro pilots that fly KISS. This is an example of the fact that being a high profile pilot is not 100% based on skill or talent. It's based on your ability to market yourself. It's based on the opportunities that you've been given, right? Like, were you born into money, for example, or did you get into the hobby when it, 7 or 8 years ago when it was absolutely brand new? Stuff like that, right? And there are a ton of pilots out there who don't bother with social media, don't bother with any of this other stuff, and they just fly. And if you just put more and more and more stick time in, you're going to get really good. And the pro pilots, once they kind of blow up, more and more and more of their time gets spent answering messages, dealing with sponsors, all these things that are not flying. Steele said to a couple of us at one point last year that he hasn't progressed in the last 3 years. He might have said 4 years. But he's like, yeah, I haven't progressed at all as a pilot in the last 3 or 4 years. And I was not surprised by that because, he's got the ethics brand taking up his time. He's got cars taking up all, right? Like, way back when, it was all about flying. And when it's all about flying, you get good. You get really, really, really good. When you stop flying 20 batteries a day, you stop getting good. You know what's a perfect example of this? Racing pilots. They, even when they get sponsored, even when they get this other stuff going on, they have to continue to focus on flying a ton every single day. And racing pilots continue to get better and better and better and better and better and better and better. Freestyle, I don't know. It feels like it hit a little bit of a wall a while ago. And I think a lot of that is because as soon as you become a good freestyle pilot, not everybody, but a lot of people, kind of blow up a little bit, and then the focus is no longer on just flying. The focus is on your social media presence and answering questions and trying to monetize it, right? And I've been through this. I look at my flying now and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I was way better 2 years ago. Way better. Way, way, way better. Haven't been flying freestyle. I probably flew maybe 100 freestyle batteries in the entire year of 2021. I was flying 100 a month 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Nickelstick says, I'm not expecting to be better than Betaflight. I want to try it and see what the deal is. And there is a FETech alpha firmware that is intriguing me. Yeah, the Mark tested that as well. There's nothing going on in there. It's all still KISS. They keep putting cool send it names on the same thing. It's an old school PID controller, which is what Betaflight 3.5.7 is. But like I said, it's a great experience to do it. Just be warned. You're going to have a really hard if you have any problems at all, you're going to have a really hard time. Because there just aren't many people that use it. Typically what happens is people get into the hobby on Betaflight. Eventually they give in and they're like, all right, I'll spend a ton of money on KISS. They fly it for a couple of months. They get tired of how expensive it is. They get tired of how impossible it is to troubleshoot it. They get tired of having to keep super fresh motors and super fresh props on their rig because the filtering is nowhere near as good as Betaflight. And then it becomes a wall quad, or they throw it onto FPV Exchange or FPV Facebook Marketplace, and then they move on. But in that process, if you have the time, if you have the money, if you have the patience, it's really, really nice to see for yourself how good the flight footage is on Betaflight versus old school PID controllers. Mr. Huggy says KISS is in London. KISS is end of life now, and there's no more releases planned for it. It's now FETech Alpha or KISS Ultra. Been flying Alpha and runs great so far. Yeah, I mean, I just call it all KISS because it's all pretty much the same thing. Like they've added like one or two simple little things. Some of the stuff that they've added doesn't work right, which is weird. But it's just KISS. It's just old school PID controller. Nothing all that interesting. Slide by says, let's take a vote. What rant was better? Send it or KISS. Nickel6 says, I see your point of view on all that. Nickel, I don't want to I'm not trying to talk you out of it at all. I just want to set your expectations because I was really sad. I was really sad and really disappointed with my experience with both KISS and Flight 1. And I just don't want you to have to go through that. And it kind of ruined it for me in a way. Basically what I'm saying to you is what I wish someone had said to me. I by no means want to this is not me talking you out of it at all. This is just me making sure that you're prepared for what's going to happen, so that hopefully you do have a good experience, because otherwise, most people get very frustrated, and I don't want that for you, because it can be a good experience if you go into it eyes open. Kenny Kobe says, why did you pick the... Fuck. Scrolling back up. Metal Dirt Skin with a $10 super chat. He says, love all the 4.3 info. Got to run because it's my wife's birthday. Isn't your birthday around now too? Happy birthday a little early late. Metal Dirt Skin's wife, happy birthday! Scrolling back up to try to find my place. There we go. Kenny Kobe says, dude, why did you pick the Apex over the Lumineer? I did not. This was sent to me, and we talked about Apex versus Jib Jab. Espander says, main 5-inch is still death rolling on aggressive moves. It had mechanical to 4-in-1, which I thought was the problem. What the hell does that mean? But still doing it with a brand new 4-in-1. Give me some ideas. If you put a new ESC and it's still doing it, it's got to be the flight. It's got to be the flight controller. Unless it's browning out. I mean, now you have an extra ESC. Might as well buy an extra flight controller. Throw that in there. If that still doesn't fix the problem, you've got a spare ESC and flight controller. Maybe you can do another build. Maybe you just have an extra of each. It's always really good to have an extra on hand. If that doesn't... So, realistically, the only other thing that it could be is that when you're doing the aggressive moves, something is physically shutting the flight controller off. That could be a capacitor with one of the legs broken on it. You know, the capacitor has the two skinny little legs. Sometimes inside the capacitor where you can't see it, one of those legs will break off. So if you do a really aggressive move, it'll move the capacitor just enough for that leg to pull apart, and now there's no connection, and then go back together, and now there's connection, and it makes the ESC shut down. So it could be something like that. Could just be like a wire that's like got one little strand of metal still attached, and when you shake it really hard or something, it, you know, like a 30 gauge wire, right? There's 8 strands in there. If like 7 of those strands are broken, but they're still kind of touching, and on an aggressive move they move like this, that might not have enough throughput in like the one remaining strand. So yeah, check for mechanical issues like that. It's always good to have an extra flight controller on hand, so I would just order another flight controller now. You're going to use it eventually. And flight controllers, not really supposed to talk about this, but get your F7 flight controllers now. That's all I'm going to say. They're not going to be getting any cheaper or more available. Okay? So there's some ideas for you. Nickel6 says, thank you for the long answer. You're certainly welcome, man. Joey T says, what's the best HD mini quad? No such thing as best, Joey. Just different. Everything is just different. Your idea of the best quad is completely different than every single other person that flies. So yeah, that's a question that's impossible to answer. Veritas, I have a service that I do on Fiverr called Build Planning, and it's a one-on-one session. I ask you 15 to 20 different questions: where you fly, how you fly, who's your favorite pilot, how much how much time up in the air that you want, a million different things. And at the end of that 15 or so minutes of grilling you on these questions, I have a pretty good idea of the setup of parts that's going to be perfect for you. I don't know any of the bind and flies. I don't agree with bind and flies. I set you up with a parts list, basically, that's going to fit your needs perfectly. That's the only way to do it. If you ever see someone saying, like, this is the best quad ever, that person doesn't know shit. Or they have some financial thing tied up in it, right? They have an affiliate link that they're trying to get you to click. So yeah, they're either in it for the money, or they have no idea what they're talking about, because there is no such thing as a best quad for anyone other than yourself. Veritas Weasel says, hi bud, great video game session. Thank you, dude. We played a little Gran Turismo 7 earlier today. Kenny Kobe says, I'm doing a build with CiottiFPV frame or Apex, but the Lux ESC and H7 flight controller with the 6S Luminaire 2407 motors, the same on his build, but I'm doing it a little different. Very cool. Maybe that's interesting. I wouldn't think that, I mean, Johnny is sponsored by GetFPV, so he probably gets the Lux stuff for nothing, or at least severely discounted. I'm surprised that he's using it, though. That maybe the new Lux stuff is better, but previously the Luminaire Lux electronics were pretty rough. So just be careful. RC Ritter is in the house. He says, can you show where that setting is? I don't know what setting you're talking about, RC Ritter. Tag me again. Let me give me some more context. Brandon's Bean says, hey, there he is. If you use too much advance, it will actually retard your step response. Not really important for cinematic, but something to note. Interesting. So at 0 advance, yeah, that makes sense. Because at 0 advance, it's looking at No, zero advance is pulling from the gyro, not from the set point. I would think that it's the other way around. Let me read your question again. Too much advance, it will... Oh, okay. So Brandon, I think what you're saying there is the same as what Chris was saying. Better to wait until the quad is actually moving before cranking up the D-term, otherwise it'll slow the entry. I think that's what you're saying. Because, yeah, as you turn the advance up, it's going to crank the D up earlier. So it's not going to be as free to have that initial big movement. But I actually like that. I like the beginning of the movement being slowed and smoothed. So Slideby says, so CiottiFPV, are you saying you got a lot of D gain? Lots. 5 inches, as a matter of fact. Boys FPV says, I think you're wrong about lightweight rigs. Outside, heavy is better. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, Boys FPV, but your opinion is wrong. It's a thing. Like, in aeronautics, in a world, you know, not in a world, when you make things that are going to have to fight against gravity, which is a constant, right? Gravity never goes away. Lighter is always better. Specifically in quads, lighter is better. If nothing else, then if for some reason you like the way that heavier quads fly, if you build lighter, you have extra weight, you have extra grams to put an even bigger battery on and get more flight time and more power. So there's just not a world where building a heavier rig is better. Also because there are lightweight frames that are strong enough. So yeah, like these builds with like tons of TPU on them and shit like that, it's just bad. It's not. There's no argument against that. Like it's just bad. There are, yeah, building light is really, really important. So yeah. Frank Nicholas says, your 2 DJI problem quads, how floppy are the long antennas? Not floppy enough. And they're not having issues that would be caused by antennas that are too long. Bing bang bong. Charles says, if D advance equals 100, takes set point as input, could the hum come from RC jitter that creates intense variations that excite D-term? Yes. Although, well, yeah, yes. Which is why moving the advance from 50 down to 0, I think, helped. But there's still a little something. So the 4.3 is. Here's the other thing. Here's the thing I didn't talk about 4.3 versus 4.2. Mark Spatz says that the gains are the same. Chris Rosser says that the gains are more aggressive in 4.3. Just the PID gains, P-I-N-D, the calculations behind the scenes. So I don't know who's right, but my experience thus far has been that the calculations behind the gains are much more aggressive in 4. Not much more aggressive, but significantly more aggressive in 4.3 than 4.2. If I take the exact same values, the exact same PID values that flew great on 4.2, and I drop them into 4.3, it's a mess. The rig won't idle right. At 0 throttle, it's super angry. And then if I look at flight performance with those gains on 4.2, it's a little bit loose because that's how I have my PIDs. That's just what I prefer in PIDs. If I use those same gains in 4.3 and ignore the idle being a hot mess, it's fucking locked, man. Like it is just like welded in the air. So yeah, there's definitely something going on in the way that the PIDs are calculated, or just not even that. There's something going on between the values that we use for the PIDs and the way that the rig flies in 4.3 versus 4.2. 4.3 on a completely stock tune flies, I almost want to say better than my 4.2 tunes that were cranked up a little bit from the defaults. So there's something going on. And the reason why it's fucking with me is because I've been tuning 4.2 for a long time, and I'm used to, and I've been building very similar rigs for a long time. So I can put together a rig, look at the parts, spin the motors by hand to see how notchy they are, look up the thrust values on the motors, and go into 4.2 and put a PID tune in there without even flying the rig that's damn near perfect. And that involves moving the PIDs up. But in 4.3, it doesn't seem like we need to do that. It seems like we can just kind of leave the PIDs alone, maybe push a slider or two up to 1.05 or 1.1, and it's just done. It's just like, so yeah, I just like when I'm in there, I'm like, no, I need more, like I need to push all the values. But yeah, it's we don't need to really be pushing the values up anymore. It doesn't seem like not like we used to. That's for sure. Scott Gillen's in the house. He says, "What's up, dog? How you doing? I'm good, man." CMYK says, "Yo, what's up, collective? What's going on, homie?" Zach says, "Should I get the Foxeer Fat Shark module or save up money for rapid fire?" Patrick has the Foxeer module, and it is awful. He hates it. So save up your money and get rapid fire. Rapid fire is unbelievably good. Espander says, "Where's the new Mac?" It's right here, right over there. Still haven't had a chance to put the time in to get it ready to go for streaming, but soon. Athix says, "Flies better is subject to the pilots. I've been happy on defaults unless I have an issue. The push PIDs in the way I need. Then push PIDs in the way that I need." YouTube just did the thing again. God damn it. Mr. Huggy says, "Steele hasn't been flying for fun. Been busy working like the 3 month job he's on in the Himalayas just after coming back from the Himalayas." Yep. Yeah, you can't just like stop flying 20 batteries a day and expect to continue to get better, myself included. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting worse, but I don't actually think that's true. I think that my standards keep going up and my skill level is just not going up as fast. Mr. Huggy says, "FETSEC Alpha is not KISS, it's totally brand new firmware." Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, but it's an old school PID controller, just like KISS. It's not like Betaflight. It's not something that's been developed by a team of 50 people over the last 7 or 8 years. So I just consider, FETSEC Alpha, whatever the hell other funny names and salesy send it names that they're going to put on whatever they're doing. It's all the same to me. It's all just an old school PID controller, because that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. They're going to, hopefully, they'll continue to steal things from Betaflight to get it to fly a little bit better. But, I mean, they're way behind. They're like way behind. And they just don't have, and they're never going to have a team like Betaflight has, right? This is one of the beautiful things about open source, is that, you can have 50 or 60 people working on it, and you don't even have to charge for it, right? Don't support closed source, friends. Open source all the way, if possible, right? Like, open source is a really big deal. We need to support it in everything that we possibly can. Like anything I get into, I always look for open source projects, because it's a bunch of people that are fueled by passion, not fueled by paychecks. And yeah, sometimes paychecks can drive people a little bit harder, but there's not much money in FPV, so you're never going to get a team of 50 people that are getting paychecks, right? So, open source all the way, baby. FPV Trucker says, "Happy Friday. I built a Whoop with the HM Diamond AIO. It has a copper wire for the VTX antenna soldered to the board. How should I secure it?" I think you can just let it flop around. I don't think you really need to secure it. I would try to secure it to the canopy in some weird way, maybe a little drop of welders. Welder is E6000. It's on Amazon. It's really good stuff. There might be a link to it down below in my description. Slide by says, since I was on 3.5.7, I have only used CL Racing F4 flight controllers. What should I look at now to replace them since they're really, really old? But I have a few new as backups. Those will actually work totally fine on 4.2 and 4.3. You're going to have to do 4K PID loop and D-Shot 300, but you probably won't notice a difference. So you can still use those. If you want to run 8K PID loop and D-Shot 600, you got to get something with an F7 processor. Right now is a good time to snag those while they're still available for the prices that they are now. Ram Donko says CiottiFPV never lies, so that's good. I try not to. It's one of the beautiful things about you guys being my boss, right? Like I don't rely on like a brand or a manufacturer or a company to support me. So I don't like pull punches because I'm getting a paycheck from, ethics or whatever. So if something sucks, I say that it sucks. When GemFan sponsored me, a part of the initial conversation was like, hey, just so you know, if you guys put out a propeller that sucks, I'm going to tell everyone that it sucks. And I'm going to tell you guys as well so that you can hopefully fix it or put something better out next time. But, this sponsorship is not really like a monetary thing. And even if it was, that's just the way that it is. But yes, and this is kind of something that I stole from Joshua Bardwell. I'll never forget when his Patreon really started picking up. He would say you guys are my boss. I am everything that I do specifically for you guys, and a part of that is when I do a review. If you guys are paying the majority of my paycheck, so you're the ones that get to choose, whether or not I'm biased as a reviewer, and none of you guys would want me to be biased as a viewer or as a reviewer, right? So yeah, it's a really nice, it's a really nice setup nowadays that people are willing to support content creators, so that they don't have to go the typical route of relying on Banggood, relying on Happy Model, relying on all these companies to send them free stuff for them to do reviews on. And then when you're doing the review, it's like, well, I don't want to say this thing is awful because then they might not want to send me another one. And I rely on that for my living. That's, I'm not saying that the reviewers do that on purpose. I'm sure they don't do it on purpose, but you better believe that that's in the back of their head, right? So, maybe they don't bash on the rig, but they're going to be less likely to... They're going to be more likely to just not talk about the stuff that sucks, right? And in my opinion, all I really care about is the stuff that sucks. Like if I'm watching a review... all I care about is tell me what sucks about it. Don't tell me what's good about it. Tell me what sucks about it. That's what I want to hear. So when your audience is who's supporting you, right? What do I care? I'll tell you exactly what sucks and exactly what doesn't. Brandon McBean says exactly. It will slow the entry into the movement, but for cinematic, you might actually like that. Yep. Some would say you should address the feel with rates, but to each his own, right? So long ago, when I was kind of working all this out, learning black box years and years and years ago, that was the same thing that everybody would kind of say no, you're the way that the camera moves should come from your rates, and in principle, sure, but there's more to it than that, right? Because our fingers are not perfect, right? I don't have the most smooth kind of fingers, and I have a tendency to jam the sticks out when something shocking happens or whatever. So if I can make the flight software work for me a little bit to kind of cover that stuff up, I'm going to do that. You could absolutely argue that having the stick tracking absolutely dead on all the time is the best possible setup, because then you force yourself to move the sticks at the exact rate that you want. I tried that, and I'm just not good enough. It's just a natural thing. Like when I see that scraggle branch at the last second, it's just a natural thing to like, and just jam the sticks. And when I jam the sticks now, I get the same amount of latency for when the quad starts to move, but then it's a nice slow thing. It's not, because when you jam the sticks like that, a lot of times for me, it'll like ram me into the thing that I'm trying to avoid. I actually feel like sometimes having that little bit of smoothing does help, because when you're jarred like that, like you kind of overcompensate, right? Don't we all? So yeah, I really always have loved the feel of some smoothing built into the software. Orga says, how about strong, not too strong winds? Would a heavier rig be better? It depends on... So better is too broad of a word. A heavier rig in the wind, if you're flying straight ahead and the wind is coming in sideways, the wind would not push it as far. If the wind is coming towards you or with you, it's going to be quite a bit worse, because it's going to cause wobbling and bobbling, and the wobbles and the bobbles are something that heavy quads really struggle with. So 50-50. If when you go out and fly in the wind, you only ever fly with the wind at a 90-degree angle to you, then sure, a heavier rig will be better. But good luck doing that. You're going to be moving all around, and again, if that's a concern, you just put a bigger battery, just put a heavier battery on, and then you've got your extra weight, and you've got a rig that flies better. So, you've got adjustability. When you build a quad light, you can make it heavy. When you build a quad heavy, you can't make it light. Certainly not in the field, right? You can't just start ripping stuff off of it. Akash says, would you think braiding motor wires with those nylon covers and heat shrink adds unnecessary weight towards the end of the arms? Absolutely it does. Braiding the wires are heavy, right? Wires have metal in them, heavy metal in them. So you want the straightest, most direct wire runs possible, and then you want to add a little bit of extra in so that if the arm breaks, it doesn't rip the wires off the ESC pad. And then the nylon covers, they're pretty lightweight. Heat shrink, it's pretty lightweight. The problem is it all adds up. So it's a balance. You need, and everybody's balance is totally different, because everybody crashes at a different frequency. Like some very often, some not very often. And everybody crashes differently. Some people hit grass a lot, some people hit concrete a lot. So you need to balance. So prop strikes are a thing, right? So you need to balance. For me, the meta is, meta being like the game inside the game. The meta for me is reducing shit on the arms for the lightest weight setup possible, but still having enough protection for prop strikes. And what I've settled on is straight wire runs out of the motor directly to an LED race wire. The LED race wire sits in the location where most of the prop strikes are going to happen. So it's going to break the LEDs off, but who cares? I'm mainly putting it there because it's a race wire. The fact that it has LEDs on it is just for funsies, because they don't really weigh anything. And then at the end of the race wire, a pretty straight run of wires to the ESC, but a little bit of extra. Like I run it in the arm, and then I 90 degree it, and then go to the ESC. And that gives you enough extra little wire so that if the arm breaks, it doesn't yank the pads off the ESC. YouTube just did the thing again. Where are we at? Here we go. Slide by says, do you run higher RC rates or higher super rate? What degree per second are you in Betaflight? I run actual rates, the center sensitivity at 20, which is almost as low as it'll go. 10 is the lowest, and it goes up by increments of 10. So I basically have the center sensitivity all the way down. I'm going to be moving that up a little bit, but I'm doing that very slowly. And then max rotational rate 700. That's not super slow, but it's also not like eye-bleedingly fast. And then expo is 0.7, which is very aggressive. But I spend most of my time rotating the rig pretty slowly. I don't like the really fast rotations. I just don't think it looks good. So I have a more cinematic rate profile, but with a good chunk of P gain and with a really big stick stab, I can invert pretty much instantaneously for that like super like mind-blowing, like, oh my god, the world just flipped upside down. And then I can slowly bring it around the rest of the way, so that like you give like this really dramatic initial snap and everybody's like, whoa, and then you give them a second and you rotate slowly for their eyes to like find the subject again and be like, oh, cool. And it also makes it easy, like when you do this snap and then you bring it around, it makes it easy to land perfectly level. If you just do a full stick roll all the way around, there's not much margin for error because it's coming around so fast. So it's way harder to land with the horizon flat when you try to snap the entire roll. If you snap the beginning chunk of the roll and then slow it down on the way in, you can just gradually bring it back to the center and away you go. So it looks better and it helps you find level horizon. It's something I work on a lot with folks that hire me over on Fiverr for the flight instruction sessions. Hey, I'm almost caught up. Dan636 says, I feel like you'd hate my Micro Apex 4-inch. I love it though. It's a 4-inch though, so unless it's like over 500 grams, I'm assuming that you're talking about weight, Dan. Yeah, 4-inch rig, realistically for that prop size, they should be, most 4-inch rigs are actually too light. They should be like 400-ish grams. Maybe even a little bit more than that. So Ramdonko says modes. Is black box automatic or needs it needs enabling? Well, I mean, you can turn black box on to run all the time, but I don't think you should. Put it on a switch because you don't necessarily always want it running unless you do. Cool. Time for a little bit of. I stole that from Mighty Car Mods. Subscribe to them. Best car channel. Best rotary and off-road truck channel on the internet. Only the people that watch that channel will get that joke. Kevin Sumner had an extra... what? Oh my god, there's 2 in here. Had 2 extra webcams. And he saw me struggling the one night in Studio 2 at Maggie's place. And he was like, yo, I'm not using these. I'll send them to you. So very cool. This is the same one that's over here. I almost just knocked over that water. This is the same one that's over here. And then this is a different one. This is another Logitech one. So I'll see if this one maybe has better autofocus. That would be pretty rad. Very cool, Kevin. Thank you, brother. I hope you're... I don't know if I've seen you post, but this is very, very cool of you. Much, much appreciated. I wish the goddamn laptop wouldn't be such a jerk off when I was at Studio 2. But we only have... I'll only be in that situation for another like 8-ish months, and then everything will come together and it'll be fucking awesome. These are from Amazon. I use Joshua Bardwell's parallel boards. And they have a whole bunch of XT60s on them. There's like 10 or 12 XT60s on them. Previously, up until just now, I've been using these little converters, which are just XT60, XT30, and they're rigid, right? And they work pretty good. But on Amazon, I found these little guys. That have a little bit of cable, and that'll just be nice. The problem that I have with these is when I have this on there, the little 4S 850 mAh batteries, the leads are like just barely long enough to go up and plug in here. They're a little bit, the leads on the batteries are a little bit too short. So these guys will help me out with that. So yeah, super simple little XT60 to XT30 converters from the Amazon. And then the other little mod that I have on his parallel boards, which I really love, are these little guys with the little rainbow wire leads on them. I partly like them because I just think that the rainbow is just cool looking, right? Like just Roy G. Biv together. It's just a cool looking combination of colors, right? But the main reason is that this plugs into the balance port, and then it gives me 2S, 3S, 4S, 5S, 6S. So on one Joshua Bardwell 6S parallel board, I've got 4 of these already. This is now 5 and 6. I can charge any batteries, and I don't have to play that fucking game where it's like, oh, do I plug it into the right side or the left side of the 6S battery bounce plug? And I also don't have to break the stupid things off. So yeah, these are awesome. I really dig these. You can get a 4-pack of these for like $12. It'll take forever to ship to you, but I really dig these things. In my opinion, these things are actually kind of like a safety device too, because if you play that game and try to plug into the thing, if you plug it in wrong, it's going to shoot fireballs. With these, if I've got a 2S battery, it's very fucking obvious that I plug it into the 2S balance lead, or the 3S, or the 4. So like with these guys, I'm much less likely to plug a battery in wrong and potentially cause a fire. So yeah, these things, I really dig them. They're nice and simple. Yeah, great little addition to your parallel boards, in my opinion. You put them in like 15 different bags. There's your mailbag. There's my mailbag. What was the other thing we wanted to do? We talked about stuff. Hey, let's do this. Let me pull the session out of here, and I'll show you guys. I think the very first freestyle battery that I've flown on my own, like standard freestyle rig with DJI. Veritas Souza says, "Hey bud, what are you wearing on your right wrist? Is it a wristwatch or high-tech tracking bracelets to your drones?" Where you are, you can follow you home. So these are bracelets made by a company called Zox, Z-O-X. There's their little logo. Oh no, it's upside down. There it is. Z-O-X is the company. They're double-sided, like kind of stretchy bracelets, and they all have like, well, not all of them, but most of them have mental health-ish sayings on them. I have a whole bunch of these. I kind of fell in love with these last year when I was not doing well. And yeah, they just serve as like a little... It's just nice for me to have kind of reminders when my brain starts taking over and not thinking through things the way that it should be. And, you know, a little bit of style too while we're at it, right? Chicks dig dudes that wear bracelets. The good chicks do, at least. So yeah, they're fun. ZOX, you gotta Google them. I think their website is like, it's not Zox.com. I think it's like Zox.io or something. The company is very obviously run by someone who either has mental health issues or, you know, is in a house with someone that has mental health issues, because yeah, most of the messages on them are like pretty dialed in. And the other cool thing is like you can find one with like a message that is personalized to you, sort of. And then yeah. And they're cool because they're double-sided, right? Like you can You can hide it so that like nobody has to know, and it'll just have like, you know, no text on the outside, and it'll just look cool. And then like, you know, if you're feeling it, you can just kind of turn it over and read it and give yourself a second to just chill the fuck out. Or if you're loud and proud about your mental health issues, you can run the saying on the outside and people will see it and be like, what's that? And you can have a little conversation about, you know, wellness and a cool company. Big FPV says, why not just buy the new Joshua Bardwell charge board? It's cheaper than doing all that. Because it doesn't have enough ports on it. And when I bought all of these, it didn't exist. I actually like these old school Bardwell boards because they have more ports on them. Sometimes I'll come home and if I've flown a ton of batteries, I can just hook all the balance leads up. I can hook like 10 or 12, however the hell many are on there. All the balance leads up on all my batteries and they'll all equalize because of the poly fuses that crank down at 1 amp. And I can let them all sit on the charger, let them all equalize. And then a lot of times that'll bring, what I really like about that is typically I'll have some batteries that are sitting at like 3.7, 3.8 per cell. I'll have some other batteries that I flew all the way down to like 3.4. And then by doing that, it's going to pull everything up to like 3.6. And that's a half decent storage voltage. It's much safer to let a battery sit for a couple of weeks at 3.6 than 3.3, 3.4. So it actually helps with battery longevity as well. Ramdonko says, safe? Wait, no, I already got it out. So let's take a look. I was really digging being able to see far ahead. So I was like nose down, just hauling ass for most of the battery. It was kind of fun. Let's see. I wonder if it's fucking cold out there. Jesus. And it was starting to rain. I've got no audio. Hold on. Let me restart OBS. See if I can get audio back. Be right back. Let's do pinwheel for 1 second. All right. Let's see if we have audio. Hey! Okay. Let me turn it down a little bit. I just scared the shit out of anybody? Oh wait, no, let me give you guys full audio. Full stank-a-lot-of-puss audio. Maybe I get it now. Maybe I get it now, I say. I don't even know where to start with these glide builds. I just busted everything open, and a lot of shit down here. But I don't know. Maybe we'll start with the frames. Start piecing together the frames, I guess. So there you go. There's the beginning of my freestyle with DJI adventure. Akash says, love raw motor sound rip videos. Yeah, it's one of the greatest things about the sessions is there is no camera that comes even close to the audio quality out of the sessions, and it's one of the reasons I'll continue to fly the sessions for as long as I possibly can. Zach Lothar says, I absolutely love your and Lizard's style. It's so smooth and flowy. Thank you, dude. A lot of work has gone into figuring out how to do that without smashing into everything. And it's also one of the reasons that I do smash into a lot of stuff. Is that, like, it's a lot of it is about, like, just committing to a movement. Like, every time you move the sticks, you've committed to the sticks now being in that different location. And you just hold that for as long as you possibly can. You just fly with the throttle. It's tough to do, but it's got a very specific look, and it's the look that I kind of always wanted. Everything kind of like looks like it has purpose. Everything is very purposeful, which yeah, I'm a really big fan of. So yeah, let's just I guess let's just dig into the frames. I'll move the, so in a half an hour, we're all going to switch over and watch some Bot Grinder. Let me just move everything over here. All right, cool. So, we're going to start digging through these frames and getting that kind of stuff figured out here. I guess I'm not doing... I don't have any receivers for these, but that probably makes a lot of sense because, like, we've now got FR Sky, Crossfire, ELRS, Ghost. I guess I'll do these builds without receivers. That probably makes the most sense. And I can just put one of my existing tunes on these, and it'll work totally fine. So, all right, let me just clean the tiniest little bit up here. You know, I also didn't see flight controllers. Did I not? Son of a bitch. No, I do. That's right. I do have flight controllers for these. They are in the other box. They're going to get talons. What's up, Super Deluxe? How are you, man? All right, so let's start laying this stuff out. We've got hardware packs, we got some arms, and yeah, this should be good. I'm looking forward to doing these builds. What do you guys think? Is 800? Is that fair, or is that too much? Or I mean, I know somebody's going to say that that's way too much, and I get it, and I don't completely disagree with you, but there's, yeah, you gotta, I don't know. I'm not in the business of building these things. This is like a special, unique thing, and with specialness and uniqueness comes cost. FPV Sharker says, is it just me, or does the BI cam on the newbie drone stink? I don't think it's that bad. My dad's here. What's up? He says, RC Ritter asked the D-Min Max. RC Ritter, where are you? RC Ritter, where'd you ask that? I can't find it. RC Ritter, do me a favor. Ask it again. Tag me. And ask it again. Akash says, considering retail prices today, a DJI build for 800 is pretty reasonable, even though I can't afford one. It's not going to be DJI. These are going to be analog. My dad also says, setting locations. What's that mean? Right9 says, 800 for a single glide, way too much. That's Rotor Riot pricing. It is. You know, and that's a perfect example of why building a bespoke one-off rig has to, you know, if Rotor Riot could sell pre-built rigs for $200, they would, right? The fact that their rigs are so expensive is a perfect example of how expensive and time-consuming it is to build these things and to build them properly, right? Like, that's the other big part is, like, you know, this isn't fucking Joe Blow in a, you know, yeah. Like, there's, in order for me to live, there's a certain amount per hour that I have to charge, right? And Rotor Riot is the same way, right? Like, we're not in a hobby that has a huge amount of volume. And yeah, the top guys charge top guy money. And that's just kind of the way it is, right? Like, you're not just paying for the 6 to 8 hours that it's going to take me to build this. You're also paying for the 5+ years that I've spent tens of thousands of dollars researching how to build these things properly, what components to use, right? So when you factor all those, you know, thousands of hours in there, I should probably sell them for $8,000. But nobody would pay that for it, right? It's like anything. It's anytime that you hire somebody that's really good to do something, you're going to pay more. And you're paying for all of the time and effort that they've spent to get good, in addition to however many hours that they put in. Good, cheap, fast. Pick two. Can't have all three, ever. And if you think you're getting all three, somebody's fucking you. And not the way that you want to be fucked. All right. So, we've got some frames. One of these builds is going to be a little bit more of a budget build. Two of them are going to have Acon ESCs, and one of them is not. Also, two of these frames have the press nut base plates, and one of them has the old school nylon lock nut base plate. So yeah, one of these builds is going to be slightly cheaper than the other ones, mainly for the ESC thing. You could actually make a pretty strong argument for the old school glide base plates with the nylon lock nuts being better, because if you strip out a press nut, you're kind of done. That base plate is kind of shot. If you strip out a nylock nut, you replace it, and all is right with the world. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting little wrinkle in here. I've got 3 extra arms. That means 1 extra arm for each build. 1, 2, 3. All right. So we've got arms. I can put these aside. I've got hardware. The way that I've been doing builds lately is basically middle out. I do the everything. I do everything on the base plate, and then the last step is I put the arms and the motors on. So we're gonna do that again on this one. I wonder if I have enough 15mm standoffs to do these as ultra slammed 15mm builds. Let's take a quick look here. I know I was loading up on 15mm standoffs for a while there. Did I get enough? Let's see. Don't. Ooh, I think I do. I think I do. These are dirty, so we're not going to use these. 6, 7, 8. How many of these little gray ones do I have? Really? Why would I only have 5? In what world? Why do I have such an awkward number of these? Is this real life? Those are... Alright, I think I have enough. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Get out of the way. 4. No! Get out of here. Get out of there. No. No. 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool. So one of these builds is going to be on black standoffs. I should have enough of these red ones. 2, 3, 4. I'll do a build with red and purple. That'll be fun. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. That one's kind of mangled. Let's get that one out of there. All right, cool. Fun. And then these guys are here. These guys are here. Yeah. Good. So these are going to be slammed builds, yo. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Get in there, you little devil. Come on. Sit in there flat. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's what we'll do. These will be there'll be a red one, a red and purple one, and a black build. I'm surprised that I didn't buy a whole bunch of 15mm black standoffs for these. The plan was to not color code the builds in case somebody didn't like it. It didn't like the colors. Riot9 says, I'm fine with it, just kind of joshing, and time is money. Experience is invaluable. Yeah. Jesse Garcia says, guy hires plumber to fix a broken faucet. Plumber comes in and gives half the turn on a screw and says $200. Yeah, you can make the argument either way. But if you bring 4 plumbers in and none of them tighten the right screw, the one that tightens the right screw is worth every penny of that $200, right? Like it's getting the job done is getting the job done, I guess, in a way. But it's hard, you know. Like I struggle with it too. Like I would love to charge $1 over what it cost me to buy all the parts, but I mean I just can't. You know, I can't do that. Okay, so this is all. These are all the OG. So this is going to be the OG build here. So we're going to put that with the non-Acon AK32 flight controller. So that's there. All right, so let's start by spacing out the ESC. Does that make sense? What would make the most sense here? Screws ESC versus flight controller and VTX. Flight controller to VTX, VTX to power leads. Okay, let's actually do that first. Let's do the flight controller and the VTX first, and then yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I'm gonna power the. Thanks for hanging out, Expander. I'm gonna power the VTX and the camera all off of that wiring harness. So yeah, cool. Let's get our 20 by 20 on, and while I'm at it, I'm gonna grab a couple of the flight controllers that I'm gonna use. Hold on, they're back. Okay, one flight controller. Where are the other ones? What? Where'd they go? Should be out here. Bueller? 2 flight controllers. No, not 2. Where the hell? Oh, is this one? No. Hang on. Where the what? Oh. Got it. We're good. All right, here's one. And then number 2. Hey, there it is. All right, here's number 2. Gotta find out who he works for. And then I'm pretty sure I bought a 3rd one. It might be in the flight controller box though. Yeah, I think it's in the flight controller box. Let's see. Come on, be in here. Be in here, little buddy. Hey! Wait. Hey! Look at me, man. Having stuff that I need. You know, maybe what I'll do is wait to wire up the receiver, and then whoever buys each one tells me what, you know what I'm saying? Tells me what receiver they're on, and then I put that in there for them. So what do we got here? We got one of the new top plates, and these are the old top plates. All right, so I'm going to keep that new top plate because it only really makes sense. And then this is for, okay, so here we go with this. All right, so let's figure out the flight controller mounting. 10 minutes until bot grinder. What do you think of that? All right, here we have our flight controllers. So let's start with one, and we'll just throw it in this frame with the press nuts. So let's get our grommets in here. This is going to be cool because, like, once I can like figure the formula out, and figure out like the exact length of standoff that's needed. Not standoff, screw that's needed. and then just knock it out. There won't be as much like kind of back and forth, which will be great. And right, it's the dream, isn't it? Okay, it's come with a lot. These, I forget that these talons come with a lot of extra grommets. They come with 8 grommets, I think, or maybe even 9. It's kind of cool. And then they come with a little brass M2 to M3 adapters as well, which is really, really nice. Oh my god. So these are actually Talon F7s, aren't they? Yeah, these are Talon F7s, yo. They are not the MPU 6000 ones, although the gyros that these have are the good gyros that Chris Rosser tested, and so yeah, arguably there will be no flight performance difference between these and the MPU 6000s. Okay. And this is still one of the best flight controllers that I've found. This is made by CL Racing, and they make really good stuff. I have had these flight controllers fail on me, but good God, I beat the shit out of them. Flight controllers tend to just not be indestructible, mainly because of the gyro on there. The gyro is a sensitive thing, and we're smacking it into concrete, creating hundreds of Gs. And there's only so much that you can really ask of that. The other thing that can go on these is the 5-volt regulator. But everybody's using the same 5-volt reg, so I really don't think that you're going to find one flight controller that has a more durable... It just doesn't make sense that you would find one with a more durable 5-volt reg than another. Right? It's just... That's just not how things work. Probably going to use these nice lightweight nylon spacers for the ESC. That's kind of nice. And then we're going to use these little brass fellas to adapt the M2 flight controller screws for M3. And then the rest of this stuff can go back in the bag, and it'll be extras. Although, let's put a couple of these wiring harnesses in here. We're not going to do that until last either. So, alright, cool. Ramdanko says, ask CiottiFPV. Slideby says, that CL Racing is, if you could pick, do you like the dual gyro or MPU 6000 F7 board? I thought about getting them, but they're discontinued. I think I need a PDB since I'm single ESC. Yeah, you would. You would slide by. Yeah, these are the dual gyro ones. You could actually argue that these are better because when the one gyro shits the bed, you can just swap to the other gyro, which is kind of nice. Although I only see one gyro on here, so maybe this is not the dual gyro. But yeah, when I bought all the parts for these, the MPU 6000 versions of these Talons were unfortunately gone. But I was overjoyed to see Rosser's video where he kind of debunked, not really debunked, but he just kind of talked about and tested the other gyros and showed that they work really well. All right, so I'm gonna have to use my own M2 stack screws, but I can use some of the nylock nuts out of here, which is pretty awesome. Let's get these squeezed on out. Isn't that nice? Bob gives you 8 of them. What a stand-up guy, that Bob Ruge. So we're going to use these press nuts as the spacers, and then I'm going to put a little tiny washer on top. So I'm going to take a guess. M2 by 8 maybe? Is that going to be long enough? I doubt it. Yeah, no, that's not long enough. Not an 8. Is it a 12? Let's see. So if this is a 12, and then we've got the thickness of the press nut, I'm sorry, not press nut, nylock nut, and we've got the grommet. Yeah, that's about right. I think that's it. I think it's a 12. Could be a 14 now. Let's try 12s. And if I need to go to 14, I can. Alright. I think this is all that I really need to use my own hardware for. So let's fire these up through the base plate. We'll put a nut on 2 of them, and we'll see if the flight controller is going to have enough room. Right 9 says 7 minutes. Thank you, brother. The BlueJay configurator on escconfigurator.com should be exactly like BL Heli, just in the spot when you go to flash all, instead of there's going to be a drop down where you can choose between BL Heli and BlueJay. Other than that, it should be exactly the same process. All right. FPV Trucker will be 60 tomorrow. Am I officially the old man in the collective? Anybody got that beat? Anybody? I mean, my dad's got that beat for sure, and he is an OG, super supporting member of the collective. So you're beat there for sure. But he doesn't fly yet. I don't think he will. I've tried to browbeat him into it before, and he's like, "Look, I'm too old. Leave me alone." And I'm like, I get it. It is tough, man. I really like talking someone into flying FPV or whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's a very nice thing to do to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't know, man. I don't know if that's a very nice thing to do to somebody that you're friends with. I feel like that could end the friendship pretty easily. You know? Like, man, if you stick with it, it's great and all, but fucking A, it's a lot. I dropped my nut. Where'd you go, little nut? Little bastard. Come on. Where'd my nut go? I could fly here, FPV, with a $5 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, keep up the content. Hit the post office soon. I'm joking. Just want to give you another $5. I actually hit the post office today. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the way to you. Giveaway winners and Etsy purchasers. What the hell? How is it possible that every time I drop something in this carpet, it just fucking vanishes? Until I eventually trot on it and scream in pain. It's a shiny fucking nut. What? How can I not see it? What? Come on! Man looks for nuts for entirety of stream. Does not find. Gives up. God damn it! It's gone. Oh, there it is. If you look for it for long enough, you'll always find it. My dad says Aaron and I split ways after RC cars. You know, it's funny, we're both into Gran Turismo though. I can't wait for my dad to get home and get on the Gran Turismo 7 train. Oh boy, I kind of got back into Gran Turismo Sport because of him. I was at the house at some point, and I played Gran Turismo 6 or maybe Sport on his sim setup, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is the dream right here. Okay, so let's see what kind of clearance we got. Clearance. So we got that, and then, oh yeah, that'll perfectly engage the nylock. M2 by 12 it is. Let's batch this shit out, friends. M2 by 10, and then here's M2 by 12. I'm going to have to order more of these M2 by 12s, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope, hold on. 7. And one more. Come on, give me one more. 8. There we go. Cool. All right, the batching has begun. Not to be confused with bitchin', because at some point in these builds, that's going to begin as well. Guaranteed. All right, there's 4 nuts, and let's get 4 more. Yeah, this hobby, man, it's, gotta be careful. It's not for, you know, the saying is like it's not for everybody, but like with FPV, it's kind of like, man, this hobby, it's not for anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's not for just anybody, let's say that. Let's say that. It's after 9. Everybody go watch some Bot Grinder. I'm going to get these... I'm going to keep going until these M2 by 12s are in these 3 base plates so that I'll have some sense of accomplishment. But yeah, everybody go watch some Bot Grinder unless you're into watching a man screw M2 by 12 screws into a glide base plate while talking shit. Alright. Mip driver's a little faster. Come on, 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 go, 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 go. Alright, let's get these nuts on here. It's either bot or a man and his nuts. I know which one I would choose. And his name rhymes with Schminder. Spot Spinder. Oh man, I had such a good idea the other day for a gear fund. And then I forgot what the hell it was. What was it? I think it was just yesterday. Oh, it was such a good idea, too. What the hell was it? I remember thinking, man, you are a smart motherfucker. I remember thinking, man, why the hell haven't you thought of that yet? Rock Finder. FPV Trucker says, you need a WOW stick. Is that electric screwdriver thing? Every time I see it, I'm like, $100. I don't know. It's just like a little bit too much. I think I might have seen one for $50. And what's funny is I was like, man, $50? I don't know. It was such like a cheap ass moment. One flight control. Wait, no, hold on. Let's get those brass bastards in here so that it doesn't fall off. Yeah, there we go. All right, brass bastards are on. Everybody go watch Bot Grinder if you're still here. I appreciate it. But I am intruding on his time slot. I forgot to put a washer under here. So let's get 12 washers going. They're wee little thin washers, so they don't really add anything to the height of this. That's 3. This one's kind of fucked up. Alright. Up to 5. Here we go. Here's a nice big stack of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And 4. This one's kind of mangled too. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. Okay, terrific. So these little guys go on these little guys. Hold on. Since I'm going over, let me saw that Maggie messaged me. She might have even called me. Make sure there's nothing on fire. All right, now we put this guy on. And oh no, that was much earlier. Okay, cool. Is Insta software easy to use? Ramducko says absolutely it is. The Insta360 Go and Go 2 software is awesome. Works really well. It's not perfect, but I mean, what is? You know? It's definitely easy to use. All right, so there's the setup. Nylock, which is basically a 3mm spacer, tiny little washer, just so that the rubber grommets don't slide down over the nylock, and then the little brass M2 to M3 adapter. And oh, I need more nuts than this. Always the case. Because I need 4 nuts for the top too. Forgot all about that. There we go. All right, and I'm just gonna loosely throw these guys on here. Just finger tight, because they're gonna need to come off when I start soldering to the flight controller. So next time, I think the first thing that we're going to do is take a look at how these flight controllers are going to get mounted. What direction, front to back, and we'll start to think about which pads we're going to use and stuff like that. So there we go. That's going to be the flight controller setup on all 3 of these builds. That should very easily clear the camera. It's probably gonna mount exactly like this. ESC on the rear. Yeah, there's some pads under the rear here that we'll probably use. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. Let me do it a couple more times here. And again, make sure you're over watching bot. Which side is which? This side. All right, cool. Oh, look at that. They slide right through on this one. There's been so many different versions of these, of the glides. It's kind of wild to think about. Just over the years of being manufactured from different plants and whatnot, the tolerances kind of have shifted around a little bit. They almost, I mean, it works fine. They always work fine, but it's just interesting to see it. Slight variances in the thickness of the base plates and whatnot. Kind of cool. Kind of frustrating at the same time, though. Like, for Bob, not for us. It doesn't really matter for us, but for Bob, it's like, Jesus, how the hell, you know, I order 3mm thick carbon. Sometimes it's 2.9, sometimes it's 3.1, sometimes it's, you know, it's just kind of all over the place. Nice, Dan. Ricardo says, just finished building a 3-inch Cinewoop, all good. Then I must repair my 5-inch while flying it slightly twitches yaw, but keeps going. You know what could cause this? Thanks. Could be an electrical issue. Throw a capacitor at it, see if that helps. Could be a gyro that's shitting the bed. That's a pretty typical behavior of a gyro that's on its way out, unfortunately. Hate to be the bearer of bad news on that one, but put a big old capacitor on it on nice short thick battery leads. That might help. But yeah, typically that's the sign of a gyro that's on its way out, unfortunately. Come on. All right, almost there, and good to go. I'll tell you what, these are going to be the most expensive glide builds. All right, and let's send them through this little fella. Yeah, this old school base plate is noticeably thicker. That's what she said. Come on. There it is. Get in there. Yeah, the newer the glide is, the tighter the tolerances are. The screws used to just fall through the holes like this, which some people like. I don't know. I don't like it or not like it. Sometimes I feel like I have an opinion. Other times it bites me in the ass. I'm like, ooh, I wish the tolerances weren't so tight. Oh man, this is going to be a real blast greasing up 12 glide arms. Ugh. Gross. That's going to be a hot effing mess. FPVT says, do you have a professional technical background? Not even a little bit. The most technical thing in my background is being raised by an electrical engineer and my father, David Ciotti. Dylan, there is specific damping grease, which helps damp vibrations. FPV Cycle got some specifically made, or you can just get Niogel 767. It works surprisingly well. But yeah, so I grew up in a house with an extremely talented electrical engineer that worked, among other places, but for a large chunk of my childhood, my dad worked at Princeton Plasma Physics Lab, a lab in Princeton, New Jersey, where they literally create plasma, the fourth state of matter, and what the sun is made of. Typical nuclear power plants do nuclear fission, where you split atoms to create heat in a water bath that then makes steam to turn a steam generator. It's kind of nasty stuff. The radioactive waste has a very long half-life, and we don't really know what to do with it, so we just bury it in concrete tombs in the middle of nowhere right now. Nuclear fusion is where you smash atoms together. Instead of splitting atoms, you combine atoms. This is a much cleaner method to create heat. The problem is it creates all of its heat all at once. And way back when, battery tech and supercapacitor tech was nowhere near where it needed to be to harness all that energy that gets produced all at once. I mean, it's not energy yet, it's just heat. But yeah, heat can be converted into energy. So yeah, fusion has always had a really rough time, and then one of the Bushes cut the funding, and which is a real shame, because nuclear fusion is, if we can figure it out, it could power the Earth forevers. To make the same amount of electricity, you could have a train car filled with fission rods, or you can have a pickup truck bed filled with nuclear fusion pellets. As to give you some idea of the materials, the difference in materials. It's pretty exciting stuff, but without funding, how the fuck are we going to figure it out? You know what I mean? But we really need to, you know? Really, really, really need to. Ramdanko says, is there a particularly correct type of Loctite? There seems to be a few numbers after. I don't even use Loctite. I use this MF or mercury adhesives shit because there's a brush. But red Loctite is relatively permanent, so you probably don't want that. Blue Loctite is pretty much what everybody uses. I don't know about green Loctite. Just don't know. Green Loctite is suspect. I don't know why. Just is. I gotta hurry the hell up, man. I gotta get rolling here. I got shit to do after this live stream. But I really want to feel like I made some progress on all three of these. And the whole point of batching this shit out is to do it all at once. So I'm gonna just put my head down here and just knock this out. Okay. All right, 1, 2, and third one coming up. Let's get these guys in. Okay. Come on, come on, come on. Go, go, go. Moby R. Who's Moby R? Come on. You guys should do a live chat commentary on FPV Trucker's going to bed. It's because he's so old now. Thanks for hanging, dude. All right. Get in there, you little jerk. Okay, there we go. All right, another one. Here comes the juice. Hey, Dad, did you finish The Expanse yet? Or are you still working your way through it? I'm now going through it a third time. I think. Might just be the second time. I think it's the third time I'm going through it now, though. But I leave it on the background. I don't... There's like... I've had a couple episodes where I'm like... I'll sit down and actually watch it, like if I'm eating or whatever, and I'll be like, I don't remember this at all. Like, it's like a whole brand new episode, like in the middle of the third season or some shit. It's wild. Most of the time, when I do that, it'll be like, oh, I remember hearing this episode. But yeah, sometimes I won't even remember like having heard the plotline in the episode. I'll be like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Okay. Jesus. All right, let me get this third one opened. Liquid Molly equals brand is spreading. Liquid Molly, they're in the motorsports world. They've been a sponsor of race cars for a long time, and they make really high performance engine oils, I believe. Don't quote me on that though. Something just moved on the other side of the room, and now I'm scared. Scared of them ghosts. Okay. All right, third one's over there. Let's get these grommets in here. Batch life, friends. Batch life. This is gonna be wild when we start soldering. I'm gonna have to solder. What's 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 times 3 is 30. Dude, I'm gonna have to solder up 36 motors to ESCs. Liquid Moly is doing Loctite. Very cool. Did they like buy Loctite, or are they just making Loctite? Because Loctite is actually just like Hoover. Loctite is a brand that's so ubiquitous that the name of the brand, just like Google too, right? The name of the company is now used like in our vernacular as the thing. Nobody says like I'm going to go on the internet and do a search on the Google website anymore. They just say I'm going to Google it, right? But like Google doesn't mean search the internet. It's just the name of the company that has the best search engine. It's always interesting when that happens. You made it if that's you. Okay, cool. So we've got the washers on here and the press nuts. Anybody that's just joining me, go watch Bot Grinder if you aren't already. I am intruding on his time slot. Ramdanko says, types of it seems, 434, etc. Denzel the Terrible says, no such thing as ghosts. It was probably just some leftover protomolecules. Yo, that goddamn, those hybrids, they look so scary. I hate it. I hate how creepy they look. Fucking nightmare shit, bro. I like shield my eyes from them bitches. I don't need none of that. You don't gotta show me the aliens. Just I know they exist. It's all good. Just make the noises. Them hybrids, man. Creepy motherfuckers. Creepy. Alright, people. Probably gonna end it here. Oh, that'll work upside down even. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I'm gonna throw one here. Right setup. Oh wait, no. Let me get some more nut action. Let's get some more nuts. I'm running out of these little M2 Nylock nuts actually. I realized last night. Oh no! Woo! Got caught in my shirt. Hey, that'll never happen again. Oh man, why is there an odd number out here? Where'd the other one go? Oh hell. No. No, no, no. Damn it, I think one of them did hit the ground. Ugh. Come on, yo, I just want to get this last little bit done. Please, where are you? Where are you, you little rat bastard? Oh, I feel it. No, I don't. Damn it. Oh, is that no? How did it bounce so far? How did it get all the way over there? How? Okay. Loosely put these on the top here, and then we'll be done. You know what? This is a job for the old nut grabber. If you don't have a nut grabber, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Link to the nut grabber down below in the description. Add it to your Amazon cart. That will make me your official affiliate for whatever order that's on. And then, you know, order as much as you can. You have my permission to order yourself all the nice things on Amazon. If anybody gives you shit, just be like, yeah, I'm just supporting my bro. I had to order a bunch of stuff. You get letters from your guys' wives and girlfriends. What the fuck, man? How dare you? I'll be like, I don't know. I told him to check with you first. Alright. Almost there. I've got my fingers crossed that somebody snags me the shifter, the Thrustmaster shifter for my T300. I would love to be able to shift manual in Gran Turismo 7. It's kind of annoying. In Gran Turismo 7, if you don't have the H-pattern shifter, they don't let you use the clutch. In Assetto Corsa, you can still use the clutch and you can just shift with the paddles. But Gran Turismo 7, they don't do that. It's kind of, I don't know. It's like they're trying to get you to spend more money, those rat bastards. There we go! 3 glides with mounted flight controllers. How you like me now? And, ooh, I'm gonna steal, I have an extra little hardware kit here. I am gonna steal these extra nuts because I am fresh out of M2 nuts. Yes. Oh God. Oh boy. Oh boy, get in there. All right, cool. So these guys get put back in their little build bags, and there's an extra one here. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I'll probably throw the extras from this in with those. Cool, I'm gonna leave these here, and Sunday we'll do a little bit more work on them. But for now, I'm gonna sign off and get the rest of my prep stuff done for the gig on Sunday, which should be awesome. This is going to be interesting, man. I'm going to fly more batteries on Sunday than like I ever have before, because like since it's live flying, you just fly, like you're just constantly up in the air. So I wouldn't be surprised if I fly like over 100 batteries on Saturday. And it'll be safe flying, but it'll still be interesting to just fly a lot, you know? We don't usually do that. Thanks for hanging out, friends. www.CiottiFPV.com for butt sex. Love you. Be good. See you on Sunday. Here's the session 4 stables edit. Later. I gotta put on some kind of copyright-free music. Hold up. Hold on, please. Let's go here. Go to desktop. Please work. There we go. Music. And maybe this is a good song. Maybe it's not. Be good. Later. See you Sunday. Nope, nope. That's not what I want. I want that. Oh, yeah.